Hey guys, and welcome into another video. It's been a long time since we've done one, so I figured the best way to come back is by doing a mock draft. Now, before we get into anything, obviously I want to address the fact that it's been weeks since I've been here, and I don't know how long it'll be till the next video. Truth be told, there's some personal stuff going on that I'm not going to mention, at least for now, most likely not ever, but there's some stuff going on that behind the scenes that I definitely have to address and focus on, and that's really where my focus is going to be at for at least the time being. But I did want to put out a mock draft here. I'm hoping that when this all blows over after the Super Bowl, hopefully by that point, I'm going to be ready to be doing the 7-round mock drafts like I always do. And I know that you guys always look forward to those as well. So I do want to just get a mock draft coming out here, and I'm going to be straight up right away. I do not know as much about the prospects this year as I did last year. Last year was a lot easier with college football being normal, with COVID not really being a thing until at least the draft. So here it's a little bit different. We're gonna have to kind of do things differently. So here, I'm being honest, I'm not really knowing a lot about the prospects. I know a lot of the first round prospects, which is why these mock drafts are a lot easier. But in all honesty, we're going to be just kind of playing our cards here, just kind of seeing how we can do, and that's pretty much how it's going to be. So if you don't like your pick, let me know what you would want there. There's no harm, no foul. I'm not going to act and sit here like I'm the messiah of mock drafts, because I'm not. I just enjoy doing them, and I hope you guys enjoy watching them as well. And if you do, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new. We are at 785 subscribers as I'm making this, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully we're able to get to 1,000 soon, which would be really awesome to see. But without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and start off with this mock draft. Now, all right, some slight technical difficulties, but we're just going to power right through it. The first pick is going to be Trevor Lawrence. It's simple. It's not really anything we have to talk about. Best player in the draft by far. The fact that they have Zach Wilson over Justin Fields here is concerning to me. I just realized that. I was going to say Justin Fields is really the only one competing for that spot, but really it's kind of like the Burrow situation last year. Like, it's just no reason that he's not going to go number one. He's a transformative player. Unless somebody makes a move for number one and the Jags want to go that route, Deshaun Watson maybe. But other than that, I think Trevor Lawrence is the pick, and I think he's a generational talent. He's probably going to be better than most quarterbacks in the NFL, at least as of now. And I like that a lot. I think that that's where they need to go. So first pick, Trevor Lawrence. I'm really liking that, and I think that the Jags are going to be good. DJ Chark, James Robinson with Trevor Lawrence there as well. It's a recipe to start a nice rebuild and get your team to competing arguably next year. So with pick 2, it says QB is their biggest need. I am on the Darnold train. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's good, and I think he hasn't been supported. So with a new coach, hopefully a new system coming in that's going to support him, I don't think that they need to take a new quarterback. If they find a trade suitor for them that they want to make the move and take a guy, it would be Justin Fields for me. It would not be Zach Wilson. It would be Justin Fields. But for me, with pick 2, even though Sewell is the best player, they really don't need a tackle. Ironically, that's their best spot. I'm going to have them getting a weapon, and that weapon is going to be none other than Devonta Smith, the Heisman winner this year, who really jumped up draft boards this year. Jamar Chase was an absolute beast last year with Burrow. This year, LSU took a huge step back, and unfortunately, as much as a beast as he is, it hurt his draft stock with Devonta Smith being as good as he is. So the Jets being able to put Devonta Smith alongside Denzel Mims last year, who I loved their pick last year, and he produced pretty well when he was on the field, a little bit banged up last year. Same with Jameson Crowder, banged up, but Jameson Crowder, I think, is one of those most low-key, underrated receivers in the league, kind of like a Tyler Lockett player. People don't really give him the respect, but everyone that does give him respect knows how good he is. So that's a really good 3 to have for Sam Darnold. Herndon hopefully can do something with his progression, but I think that's a really good spot to start for the New York Jets. Now here at pick 3, this is an awesome spot for Miami to be in because they have their quarterback. They could use a running back, not at pick 3. There's no running back that's that good. But they really have a solid defense too, so the only thing you really have to worry about is getting some weapons. And I said this last year, and I said, if you guys want to go back and look, my Miami mock draft, my 7-round mock draft, the first one I did, it wasn't even before I started doing them for every team. It was one of the first ones I did. I had them getting Brandon Ayuk with one of their picks in I think it was the 2nd-round pick, which obviously he didn't fall to the 2nd round. I got a lot of flack for that, saying that receivers weren't needed. Oh, Jakeem Grant. Oh, Albert Wilson. All these things. No, the only receiver that's competent on the Dolphins at this moment is Devontae Parker. The only guy that deserves to be a number 2 on that roster is no one. You know, I liked a lot of the receivers. Preston Williams last year, I thought he was going to progress. He didn't. I thought that when I thought Isaiah Ford was going to be good. They got rid of him. They got him back. Wilson, all those guys, they're just not. They're not number 2s. You need at least somebody to be number 2. And ironically, Devontae is going to be that number 2 for Jamar Chase as that number 1. because it's weird seeing receivers go as high as they are, and I think that maybe you could trade down a couple picks to do so. But with how great Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith are and how game-changing they are, I think that with these two teams needing a glaring hole at that spot, I think it's the perfect spot for them to go. So Jamar Chase going to the Dolphins at 3. I'm loving the pick. Tua's got a nice weapon. Unfortunately, it's not going to be his boy from Alabama, but he's seen enough of Jamar Chase to know how good of a receiver he is. Now pick 4. I think no matter what here, the best pick for the Falcons is to take a quarterback. Even if you're keeping Matt Ryan, I think to let somebody get behind him and develop is good. And I think that guy to do that is Justin Fields. I'm not huge on Zach Wilson. I know a lot of people are. I'm very much not. I don't know. It worries me. I don't think that this is his normal. I think that this was a great season for him, if that makes sense. So for me, I think the jury's still out on Zach Wilson. I'm gonna have him going probably top 10, just for the simple fact that that's where he's probably gonna go. It's not where I personally would put him, but that's where we're at. Pick 5 here. Bengals have some needs. I think T. Higgins was a beast for them. Tyler Boyd's a beast. But really, other than that, they do need a receiver. But I'm not thinking they're going to take Waddle here. I think they're going to be easily taking Sewell if he's still on the board. The best offensive tackle prospect we've seen in a long time. And for him to fall to 5 is perfect for the Bengals. Not much said. That offensive line did nothing for Burrow. So getting any help is going to be some help for him. Pick 6 here for the Eagles. Another team where they really could use some help on offense. I think Fulgham was a good find for them. I think that Rager is looking better than I thought he would in the NFL, and that's not saying much because he really wasn't that great this year. Jeffrey's pretty much lost it, though. Deshaun is pretty much lost. He's been hurt. So they could use some weapons, with Ertz probably moving on from him this year. They could use some weapons. They very much can. But what they could use more than that is a cornerback like Patrick Surtain. Slay is a beast, but other than that, they still cycle corners left and right beside him. I think getting another lockdown guy like Surtain is going to be huge for them to have that duo. Slay is still not that old. He still has a lot of good NFL time left in him. It's going to be simple for them, and that's going to be scary for NFC East teams because those are two really good corners, and that makes the Eagles' defense really good again, and that's going to be worrisome. But, hey, this is the best pick for them at this moment in time, at least for my opinion. Now pick 7 here. This is where I'm going to have Zach Wilson coming off the board out of BYU to the Detroit Lions. Matt Stafford wants to part ways. They mutually agreed to do so. New head coach, new quarterback, new GM. Everything that you need for a rebuilding of a franchise is in place, and you're starting fresh with a brand new quarterback. And you're going to support him by re-signing Kenny Golladay, hopefully, and getting more weapons. You already have DeAndre Swift. You have a solid offensive line. Could be better, though. You have a defense that should be better than what they produced last year. Okudah was hurt a lot this year, but he should progress. This is a perfect situation to get your quarterback. Let this next year be a building phase, and then hopefully by the 2022 season, you're ready to go. Now at pick 8, it says that a quarterback is needed here for for Carolina, and I think Teddy is a good enough quarterback, and he had a good enough season to keep his job where he is. I'm not very much concerned about that. I think they can look at that towards a future problem. What they do need is a linebacker here, which is where Parsons is going to come off the board. I'd be surprised if this pick didn't happen. It was the same pick like last year when I said if the Panthers don't walk away with Derek Brown, I'm going to be so surprised. And obviously they did. They got Brown. They got Gross Matos in the second, which is really good with Brian Burns. It's going to be a scary defensive line in a couple years. But getting Parsons to refill that Kuechly role, best linebacker, not even close. Not really anybody else I would trust with a top 20 pick at the linebacker position. So Parsons is going to be able to do that for them and help that Carolina defense get better. When McCaffrey comes back, we know how explosive that offense was this year. If that defense can hold up, Carolina's back in the playoffs, man. Teddy was playing well. Anderson was being amazing at receiver. They still have DJ Moore. Hopefully they keep Samuel as well. And then McCaffrey coming back, that's a recipe for a really good team, man. At pick 9 here, we have the Denver Broncos. Now, I think if Zach Wilson didn't go to Detroit, he probably would end up going here. I'm not a big believer in Drew Lock. I know that they believe in him, and they're tired of cycling QBs, but I think that his time is kind of weary. He really hasn't proven too much to show that he should be a starting quarterback for the Broncos, or at least not have some competition. So they could look towards veterans or something. I just don't think that Drew Lock should be their only quarterback going into next season, but we'll see. Looking at what they do need, though, edge rusher, I'm not really huge on it. They have Chubb, they have Von Miller, unless they try to move Von Miller. I know Von Miller's been having some off-the-field incidents as well. That's a little worrisome as well. Corner, linebacker, basically they need help on the defense. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually, ironically, give them the best defensive player left on the board, and that's Kwity Paye, the edge rusher out of Michigan. Michigan produces edge rushers like nobody's business, or just defensive beasts like nobody's business. So getting one there to help out with Bradley Chubb towards that next phase, let Von Miller teach them. They can move people around, figure out how to make it work. But I think getting a guy like Kwity Paye can really transform a defense back to what was the big thing about Denver, was a scary pass rush, and I think Kwity Paye is going to be able to do that for them. Now at pick 10, no shot that they go anywhere else. It's going to be a corner, Caleb Farley. The Cowboys have been torched, and I mean torched through the air this past year. And it was shown. Their best corner was Awuzie. Awuzie was their third best corner most of the time, and then he got produced to the number one. Brown really didn't produce. Xavier Woods didn't produce. They cut Hocklett and Dix before the season even started. Trayvon Diggs had a really good season for a rookie, but he was so on and off. There's some games he looked great. There's some games he looked like the worst corner in the world. So they really need somebody that's a top prospect to play at that secondary position. Next, Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. Another corner that can really just transform that defense and just make them at least think about, have somebody to guard the number one, because really they were getting torched all year last year, and they were giving up too many points through the air. Odell had that amazing game, because really who was going to be able to stop Odell on the secondary? So Farley, great corner out of Virginia Tech. At this point, whoever the best corner is off the board, I don't care if the next best corner is a second-round grade, Dallas needs to take him. That's how bad their secondary is. So that's where we're at. Now, my New York Giants. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, you don't know I'm a Giants fan. I'm a Giants fan. Edge rusher is a big need, but obviously Kwity Paye is there. And then when we go over to edge rusher, I'm going to show you really a size, really the only other guy. Rousseau is down there really low, actually. I like Rousseau a lot. But those are the guys that are edge rushers. And really, Rousseau is the only one I'd honestly look at here. Kyle Pitts is an interesting one here because of how much the passing offense last year took a hit. And a lot of that stems from Saquon Barkley not being out there. It was a very vanilla offense. You had a running back that can go in between the tackles and Wayne Gallman. And then you had passers that were really just route runners. Shepard had an amazing year when he was healthy. He was balling out. He was on pace for, I think, 1,000 yards. Slayton took a step back but still looked very good. Tate really was not there. Evan Ingram is a Pro Bowler, but really was a very tough Pro Bowler to watch. So getting a guy like Kyle Pitts is the best option here. Getting a guy like Jalen Waddle is the best option here. As much as I do like Greg Rousseau. And if the Giants aren't able to keep Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson, or maybe they aren't even able to keep both, I think defensive line is the main commodity here. Getting a guy like Rousseau would be huge. But for the simple fact that there's a need for offensive explosivity on this offense for Daniel Jones to have that leap that people have been wondering if he can make, such as Josh Allen made this year. You have Slayton, who's going to stay. You have Shep, who's going to stay. Tate, contractually, is going to stay. Evan Ingram, you got one more year out of him. Why not add the most talented offensive player left, and that's going to be Kyle Pitts. That allows you to have leverage over Evan Ingram, saying, look, we don't really need you. If you want to stay, we are welcome to having you, but it's not going to be for what you're thinking. Maybe he was getting paid on the open market or something. But getting Kyle Pitts, he's an athlete. He's able to jump up. He has that Kelsey mentality where he's going to break people on routes. He's going to make catches over everybody. And that's really just somebody that is going to be explosive and help that offense. Now you have to worry about the tight end position. You have to worry about guys like Slayton and Shepard on the outside. You still have to worry about Saquon Barkley in the backfield. It creates that environment for the offense to where Daniel Jones has options everywhere, and you can't even forget about Daniel Jones, because we saw here, he reached over 22 miles per hour in some runs this year. He is using that speed, and Garrett has been giving him play calls. The play calling got a lot better towards the end of the season. So I think with this, it's going to do a lot for the Giants, and it's awesome to see the Giants not have to worry about offensive line coming this year. So, yeah, I'm really liking the Pitts pick. Like I said, I really do like Rousseau. I think that Rousseau would be a great pick here, and I wouldn't be mad at it either, but I also believe in Lorenzo Carter. I thought this was going to be his breakout year before his unfortunate injury. We saw Fackrell do some good on the edge as well. But I think that Carter Coughlin had a good year on the edge as well as a rookie. So I think that we can go towards an edge rusher later on, and maybe even trade back into the first round to get somebody. But that's where I'm at. That's the end of my Giants rant. I'll try and stop myself there. When it comes to the 49ers, similar to the problems that the Cowboys have, the secondary just really isn't it. Sherman's getting old. They had a good year out of Verrett, a very resurgent year for him, but I really do think that they should be going after a cornerback. J.C. Horn is the next best one. Personally, I'm a big fan of Sean Wade. but he's kind of down there. Mukuamu, I'm also a big fan of, but he's been dropping a lot. Asante Samuel's really good too, but we are going to end up taking J.C. Horn for them. Just next best corner available, at least on the predicted board. It's just, I think another thing, they just need to be wary of their secondary, make sure they can do their best from it. Then you go over to the Chargers, and this is another team where they really need an offensive line prospect. So really, it's your pick of the three: Cosme, Slater, or Darisaw. They're lined up right next to each other. Really, I'm not even sure who I'd really take here. Cosme, you have Slater as well, and then you have Darisaw. All these guys are really good. All these guys are able to do a lot. I'm going to go with Cosme, just best one on the board at least. But really, you could pick any of them. There's no right or wrong answer. I've been saying for years they have to get. I had them getting Mekhi Becton last year. They didn't obviously do that. Got Herbert, which is great. But I think Cosme is going to be a pick there where they can really do a lot with him. Then we go to pick 14 with the Vikings. It's so weird for the Vikings, man, because I'm not really sure what they need, because they need a lot. They could go for an outlandish pick in Waddle, because they have Thielen and Jefferson, but after that it's very, very lackluster in the depth wise. Even though Thielen and Jefferson get it done, but Thielen is also up there in age, in his 30s. You don't know how much longer he's going to be a beast. Interior offensive lineman, interior defensive lineman, offensive tackle, that kind of stuff. So I think the best thing for them to do is go after a guy like Rashawn Slater, where I think that it's a position flexible prospect. That's really what I was thinking, is for why Slater, because you can put him anywhere on that offensive line, and I think you can teach him how to do that. And I think that Zimmer's done a good job of moving people around, getting the best out of his offensive line as he could, even though the offensive line has been struggling. I really do think that they need to continue to just build that line and do what they can, protect Dalvin Cook from major injuries like he's had in the past, give Kirk Cousins times to get the ball to Jefferson and Thielen. And as much as it hurts to pass up on a guy like Waddle, because I think that would be perfect, having Thielen, having Jefferson, and having Waddle, I think that would be amazing. Slater's going to be the best pick for you at this point because of his flexibility on the offensive line. Then we go over to the Patriots here. Could use a tight end, could use a receiver, defensive lineman, linebacker, quarterback, you name it, they need it. I want to give them Trey Lance, I do, but genuinely, I think that they're going to go for one of those veterans, maybe trade for Matthew Stafford, sign like a Jameis Winston or something. I think that's the way they're going to go. So with that in my mind, I'm going to let them do that. I don't think that they're going to take a receiver first round anymore. I think that N'Keal Harry kind of burned them on that. Harry's, I don't think, a bad prospect. I think that he's just not working out with what they're doing, and kind of, the changing of the torch, passing it along from Brady to the next man is a tough one to sell, and it really is. But I think that they just need to kind of, I don't know, they need to be able to do something that can make people worried about the Patriots again, because right now they're not. So what I'm going to do for them is give them Owosu Karamo, I think is how you say it, out of Notre Dame. Dante Hightower is going to be coming back next year, which is good for them, or at least we predict he is. He took his eligibility away for this last year, but just getting help on the defensive side, allowing teams to not really run over the Patriots, because that's not what we're used to seeing. And also, of course, they're going to need to score the ball more. I think that as much as Waddle is a beast, I think that getting a receiver in the second round, when you have guys like Bateman, Marshall, Tooney, Moore, Collins, who's an absolute beast, Amon-Ra St. Brown, a lot of these guys are really, really good. And that's one of those things where that's why a lot of teams avoid receivers in the first round, because of how good the later guys can be. I mean, Nico Collins, if you haven't seen Nico Collins play, I'm a really big fan of him. 6'4" out of Michigan. He's been there for a while. Really big fan of Nico Collins. So going into the next pick, which is the Arizona Cardinals, this is another one where you could even argue Jalen Waddle could go, because he could fill that role that they wanted Isabella to have. Larry Fitzgerald's fizzling out. We don't really know what's going to happen, but I think a thing that they have to do here is shore up. I know it's going to be crazy, but shore up the running back position. Kenyon Drake's free agent. He didn't do enough for me to say anything that he should say. Edmonds is good, but I don't think it's worth I don't know. I don't think it's worth him being a starter. You can go elsewhere, try and sign somebody. I think the best thing to do is get a young rookie out there and do what you can, and that's going to be Najee Harris for me. A bruising running back, a guy who's going to run between the tackles, run people over. You still have Edmonds to be that specialty back as well. You save that money that you don't have to spend on Kenyon Drake. You can get somebody to help on the defensive side a little bit more, but you have a lot of help in that defense. Simmons really is still trying to find his place. I think that the best thing for them to do is go with a running back like that. They could trade down and get one. They could even go with an edge rusher like Osai or Rousseau, but that's where I have them going. Now, at pick 17 here, I have the Raiders actually going after an edge rusher, and it's not going to be Osai. It is going to be Greg Rousseau. Greg Rousseau going into this year was supposed to be one of a top 5 pick. I think my last draft he was a top 5 pick. For him to fall, I see why, but at the same time, I think that talent's going to overweigh that. And I think he's going to be able to go to a team like the Raiders and be an absolute beast, wrecking on the other side with Max Crosby, as Cleveland Farrell really hasn't panned out for them. Pick 18, we already got a receiver off the board for the Dolphins, and at this point you really can do a lot more, but there's still a top offensive tackle on the board, and that's Darisaw. Jackson didn't really have the best year. He didn't have a bad year, but it wasn't the best year. Just helping out the offensive line as much as you can. Keep throwing things until they stick. I think it's the best thing to do, and especially because you have a guy like Tua who's a left-handed quarterback. You're going to have to kind of, I mean, maybe you have Deshaun Watson, but you have to kind of figure out what's the best move for Tua, and that's keeping him healthy. Everything was injury concerns. Keeping him healthy is going to be the best thing. Here at pick 19, a quarterback is needed, but I think a wide receiver is needed more, and that's Jalen Waddle. Sims had a really good year, Cam Sims. I like him a lot, being a big guy. Terry McLaurin's a great route runner, but really you could see what they struggled with a lot. Obviously quarterback play, but it was having weapons, having the ability to do things on that offense, and I think that was what held them back from overall beating the Buccaneers. Logan Thomas was their best offensive player, and nothing against Logan Thomas. I think he's actually a very good tight end in the NFL. I just don't think it's enough to have them continue their streak of being in the playoffs, because right now they're the defending NFC East champions, and they're going to try and keep that. Getting a guy like Waddle to be alongside McLaurin, to be alongside Sims, that's building and Thomas there, and obviously you have Gibson in the backfield too. That's building a very solid offense for any quarterback to go into, whether that be a Cam Newton, whether that be a Deshaun Watson, whatever it may be. That's where I think they need to go, and I think that's the best case for them. And I think that because they made the playoffs, drafting a rookie quarterback shouldn't be where they're at. Even though they're a young team, I think that they should get a quarterback that can lead them to the playoffs multiple times, that has that veteran leadership, that can keep them at that competition level and not have to worry about the rookie mistakes and have to worry about adapting to the NFL at the quarterback position. They're ready to win now. Let's keep them winning now. Get them a star receiver who's an absolute stud, speedy as hell, and get him Jalen Waddle. Now here at pick 20, Trey Lance looks like the best pick off the board for the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take him for him. I believe in Trubisky. I think they've misused Trubisky. I think Nagy's the problem there in Chicago. I think that front office needs to be looking at themselves as well. But Trubisky's going to be done there. It's not going to be a thing for them. And Foles was a dumb pay for that much money. It was just not worth it. They should have waited till he was released and paid very minimal money. But get a rookie, even if you want to play Foles or Trubisky, whoever more, you can. You could play them more, but Lance is going to be your future. I think he has the ability to be that great quarterback. But with only one game under his belt, he's going to have to learn a little bit before I think you can throw him into a starting role. Then you go over to the Indianapolis Colts, another team where I think that even though they need a quarterback, they got to be looking towards a veteran like a Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, whatever it may be, because of the fact that they are ready to compete. If you give them a good quarterback on this team, they're pretty much contenders, and that's crazy to say. So really, they don't have a specific need. I think that they could go for a receiver like a Rashad Bateman. I also think that they could go for an edge rusher like Asai. They could meet in the middle, get a guy like Collins. There's a lot of different things that they can do. There's really no wrong answer for this because their team, I genuinely think, is with one good quarterback. Rivers got them to almost to the promised land. I think with a quarterback better than Rivers, which I don't think is too hard to find at this point in his career, they could really do some damage and be Super Bowl contenders next year. So in order to aid that, alongside with T.Y. Hilton getting older, and along with Michael Pittman having a very good, solid rookie year for himself with Pascal there, I'm going with Rashad Bateman. Bateman was another guy who was looked at as being one of the best receiver prospects coming into this year. Getting him at 21, I think it's a steal. I really do. I think it's going to be great for whatever quarterback they do get there. Now here at 22, I'm not wasting any more time. Osai's coming off the board. Jadeveon Clowney wasn't doing anything for the Titans that we thought he would. They really just did not get any pressure towards the quarterback this year, and that was really the tough part. So not much to talk about at the Titans. I'm a big fan. Obviously, Henry and Tannehill, I'm really big fans of. They need some help on that defense, and starting with Osai. They could go with the corner as well, but I'm giving Osai because he's still on the board. Here at pick 23, the Jets are still here, man. They got another pick, and depending on if they get Deshaun Watson or not, we'll see what this pick if this pick is actually going to be here. But what I think they need to do here is go after a guy like a Zaven Collins. Simple fact, C.J. Mosley, you paid him a lot, hasn't really been on the field. There's a lot of holes on this team. and the defense is a big one. And getting a guy like Salah is going to help him out a lot. So get Salah somebody, and with him being there, he's going to want to get a defensive player in the draft. Get him somebody that will help him. Collins is going to be able to do that. He's going to be able to teach him well and get him to his fullest potential rapidly. I think that's the best case scenario for them. Here at pick 24, another team where I would be looking at for a young quarterback, because Big Ben says he's going to be back next year. But ETN is a possibility here. I didn't see enough from Connor to really say, okay, I'm going to want to pay him. Or for any, I mean, Snell looked really good, but I don't know if I'm ready to give him the reins. There's a lot of different things that you could do here with him. I think that the best thing you can do, though, is go after somebody to help out that offensive line, because really it was falling apart this year. Vera Tucker is a beast, but I think that they're going to want to go with a offensive tackle. And the best one out here is Mayfield, Leatherwood, and Jenkins. Personally, I think that Leatherwood's going to be the better pick here. I'm just going to give him Leatherwood. That's personally my opinion. It really could be any of those. Nothing special about one or the other that's going to, I think, oversell the others. But it's just whatever one you feel comfortable with. Now here at pick 25, you have Trevor Lawrence. Don't make the same mistake that the Bengals did. Get him some help on that offense. I know that there's other holes in this team. I know. But getting him some help on this offense is really going to help you out. And that is going to be a guy like Jalen Mayfield. Again, either one. You could have Leatherwood go to the Jags and Mayfield go. It doesn't matter. You need some help on that offensive line. Here for the Browns. The Browns found some gems in their receivers. Higgins was playing very well last year. Peoples-Jones had a really good year. Even without Odell Beckham there. So I don't think that they're really short on weapons, but they are short on help in that defensive side. A lot of teams are short on that. The loss of Scobert showed, seeing guys out there, like I think B.J. Goodson was out there for a while. They need help on their defense. They need help pretty much everywhere. Garrett's pretty much almost alone out there at this point, and they have a lot of talent out there that should not be leaving him alone like that. So I think that either getting another edge rusher, getting another corner, getting something like that can really help them out. You take the best available, which here is Nick Bolton, but personally I think that I'm going to be giving them Jalen Phillips. Just helping out on the edge of opposite side of Myles Garrett. Vernon really is getting up there in age, was hurt a lot. You need somebody to be consistent there, and that's what you get out of him. Now here with the Baltimore Ravens, they need somebody to help pressure, but they've needed that for a while. They have the potential there, but really it hasn't panned out. A tight end, a receiver, I really think they need to go offensive weapons, because really it's as limited to how far Lamar can take them. They have a good running back in Dobbins who they're excited about. Really, Hollywood Brown hasn't been much in the NFL, at least not worth where he was picked. Andrews is a beast, but he was slowed down this year. Not very much, but he was slowed down this year because teams started to realize, hey, really, we only have to care about him. So getting a receiver is going to be a must for this team, and that is going to be Terrace Marshall out of LSU. Had a really good year with Burrow. Another thing where I think his draft stock dropped because of how bad LSU was, but you get the point. They need a receiver. Here at 28, another team where I think they're going to keep one of their quarterbacks, maybe have Hill or Winston start. I'm not really worried about the quarterback position for them. I really just think that this team needs to take the best player that they can and just help out as much as they can. And I'm going to give them Nick Bolton. They've really been cycling between linebackers for a long time. Get somebody that you hope can be that guy to just kind of take over the position and stay there. Demario Davis can help with his development as well. But overall, Anzalone's not bad, but he's not great either. You need to get some help there. I like Nick Bolton. Now here at pick 29, receiver seems like the must pick for the Packers, and ironically, I don't think I'm going to take him here. Hear me out. I liked what Valdez-Scantling gave him this year. Adams is a beast. Lazard being hurt really hurt them, and I think that they could go after somebody in free agency with the money that they should save from not paying Aaron Jones. I love Aaron Jones. I think he's worth every penny that he's going to get in the open market, but you drafted A.J. Dillon. I think A.J. Dillon can be a solid running back, or you can even draft another running back in the second or third round this year and get somebody. You can even go after ETN here to replace Aaron Jones, but I think that the thing with receiver is, do you really think that Tooney is going to be able to give them the boost that they want? I'm not sure. What I do know is that a guy like Asante Samuel Jr. can help them out a lot more in that secondary and not let Kevin King get burned. Not have to sign Tramon Williams and play him. Really give Jair some help on that secondary, because the defense took a step back last year, and it was hard to see. Now here at pick 30, Buffalo Bills are picking here. Again, another team where really they don't have many needs. They're really good. They're really good. I think it's a perfect spot for a guy like ETN to come out, but if they're not looking at, if they really do believe in Singletary or Zach Moss, they're not going to take him. I think that honestly, you really could do anything here. There's not a specific thing, but I think that a kind of a low-key pick is, ooh, do I really want to take it? I don't know. It's saying they need tackle. I guess, but like linebacker, like there's not really a linebacker here. Corner, Sean Wade is really the only one I can think off the top of my head that I would really take here. But he's pretty down there. Stokes is pretty far down as well. So I think what I'm gonna do here for the Bills is give him Kadarius. Simple fact, Diggs is a beast. Beasley, I think, helped a lot of people think he's a lot better than he is. I do think Beasley's great, but I think getting another weapon when you have such a high-flying offense like they do in Buffalo with basically a second-round pick, very, very late first, it's going to help you out. The Chiefs had Kelsey, they had Hill, they still got Hardman. They still paid Sammy. Keeping those offenses that are high-flying, deep ball, spread offenses, giving them as many weapons as you can is going to help them out. I really like what you could do with a guy like Tony there. I think it'd be fun. I think Buffalo with Josh Allen, the arm talent he has, the lackluster run game, giving as many options as he can, so he doesn't have to force feed Diggs as much as he did, and Beasley as much as he did. John Brown obviously is good, but again, Beasley and John Brown are both in their 30s, man. They're not going to be getting any better. They're really going to start declining. I think getting a guy like Tony is really going to help them out. Now at 31, Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. They're projecting them to lose. I am too, but we'll see what happens. Really, they could do a lot of things here. Nothing really too special or anything, but I don't think they keep Fournette. Ronald Jones was very good this year, but why not get a guy like ETN and just see what you can do with him if Tom comes back for another year, which I think he will unless he wins. If not, you could look at a guy like Mac Jones, but other than that, I really think this team is another team built to compete, so why wouldn't you get a quarterback? And then at pick 32, the Chiefs, they're losing Sammy Watkins, but I think Hardman's good. I think Hill is good. I don't really have them needing a receiver right away. Interior offensive lineman is a need, and that's why they're going to be taking Vera Tucker. And we're going to end this mock draft really boring with an offensive lineman interior. But other than that, I think that this is a really good mock draft. Going into this, not knowing anything about the teams, what they need and everything, I think we did pretty well. A little bit over 30 minutes, so if you guys did stick around for the whole thing, please be sure to leave a like. It really does mean a lot to me. Subscribe if you are new. Turn those notifications on if you did enjoy. Without further ado, that's going to be it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one.